Dr. Cole, we appreciate you taking a few moments to speak with us at this time. We've heard reports that Dr. Kershin has been trying your patience, placing you under unnecessary duress as his campaign manager. Rumors abound regarding a specific incident?
I picked up the concentrated sulfuric acid and tried to drink it as a baby.
Actually, wait. We're referring to something a little bit more recent that happened.
Caught me off guard there. I don't know.
Well, we apologize for these guerrilla tactics, but we really feel the voters of this nation deserve to hear an honest answer about this topic. Let's see, it's been reported that you've been pushed around inside of the campaign office recently?
I was typically the bullied. Actually, no, I was just the quiet kind of geeky guy, you know, in the corner.
And just this past week, you confronted Dr. Kershin regarding something. What were some of the things that were talked about in this conversation?
You know, what do you do for a job? You know, what have you done with your life? Are you still using your physical prowess, you know, for advancement of your own cause?
And he disagreed with your opinions?
And he said, "Get out." And I said, "No." And he sat right behind me the whole time.
Now, as you were taking the city bus home, you realized that you were being followed. You got off the bus and this other person did as well?
And that wasn't his bus stop.
And what did you do?
And he started chasing me, and I just took off down the road to my house, thinking, oh, I'm going to get smeared. But luckily, my dad was in the front yard, and I got rescued.
Those good old dads. Now, as it sounds, you've had a little bit of a falling out with Dr. Kershin recently. Despite your years of loyal service and innumerable hours placed in his service, does that incline you to work for the enemy? Are you going to campaign for Dr. Devine?
I would like to see them more.
What is it that attracts you to Dr. Devine as a candidate?
Well, I can't go there then, can I?
Well, we feel that you should. I mean, considering your special circumstances, I feel that the nation has a right to know. How would you describe Dr. Devine?
Hot? No.
Well, not quite what we were expecting, but then again, I doubt anybody really expected this recent chain of events to unfold the way that they did. The political machine that Dr. Kershin runs certainly has seemed to come off its hinges. If Dr. Kershin has an Achilles heel that could possibly be exploited, what would you say it would be?
My perception, I would say recreational drugs is marijuana, probably.
We appreciate your time. Your answers have been an invaluable tool to the voters of America.
You're going to edit this, right?
Of course we will. Dr. Kershin, usually we aren't so forward with our guests when they come on our show, but it seems though there's a serious problem that needs to be addressed at this time.
What do you mean, problem?
Well, reports are that you've been bullying around your campaign manager, Dr. Call.
But it was, well, I wouldn't say bullying.
What are you laughing about? There's nothing funny about this. I mean, whether you feel that you bullied him or not, certainly there were some things that you did that were a little inappropriate, some things perhaps that you might have said.
Never said, you know, anything which was foul.
But you did confront him about something. What seems to be the core of your problem with Dr. Call?
It makes me waste time as opposed to, you know, just doing the right things.
And how long have the two of you been dealing with these problems?
At Midwestern, 10 years. By and large, General 35.
And it all seems to stem from an earlier event in your childhood. Would you mind expounding upon that for us?
Oh, probably. Once as a child, I was in high school and I got caught smoking.
Dr. Call has implied that this history of smoking might be a fatal flaw, a chink in your armor, so to speak. Perhaps it might affect the way that your public perceives you as a president.
Interesting.
And he further implies that your use of marijuana continues unchecked to this day.
There was no thing. I never smoked marijuana. Never ever experienced it. Even having lived through the 60s, because in communist Hungary there was there were no dopes.
Really? Well, that certainly conflicts with the reports we received earlier from Dr. Call. How do you plan to deal with Dr. Call, considering the fact that he's spreading these false rumors about you?
Nothing. I mean, that's his prerogative.
So does this mean that you tend to forgive him for all this political espionage?
It cannot be sort of glossed over.
Dr. Kershin, up to this point you've been portrayed fairly negatively by the mainstream media. You have an audience of voters waiting to hear what you have to say at this point. How would you describe your platform?
Freedom. Freedom. You shouldn't forget that I grew up in communist Hungary with absolutely minimal personal freedom. So I'm very sensitive to any limitation of your personal freedom. So that might bring back the good old kind of basic properties, basic rights of the United States. The same United States I fell in love in 1980, and that's the reason why I came back.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this epic drama after a word from our sponsor. We'll be back with the hard-hitting interviews with Dr. Heasy and Dr. Broderick.